The Saturday Night Thunder Field brings special paint schemes for a special night. Welcome back to the regular season. It's the halfway point of our 2024 B campaign, and the Richmond Raceway has once again returned, well known as the action track in SNT competition. 150 laps await as qualifying is on the move here in Virginia. You're watching live on FTN Saturday Night Thunder, a championship race developing between top contenders, including Jordan Kuntz, Jacob Wilkerson, and Alec Daffin, just to name a few. And with Richmond back on the table tonight, the championship race could, as we saw in Talladega, flip many ways. Vinny Tigner, coming off of his first victory on the season, now has some momentum heading into the rest of the campaign and might be able to find himself as a back-to-back race winner if, of course, he succeeds tonight. Welcome back live on FTN Broadcasting for a weekend full of racing. I'll be your host, David Droitz, commentating and producing. Qualifying now at halfway over with 3 minutes left on the clock. Taking a look now at the racing circuit, leader in timing is Jamie McKinney with Ethan Burrell then in second, but both of which just got taken over by Jordan Kuntz. Jordan up to the top of the board by a tenth and a half. In a very familiar place, that number 99 is once again leading the timing sessions. And with that being said, you got Carmen Chandler in 5th, Trey Holmes in 6th, drivers, many of which are still taking their first laps. Jonathan Cutlip going to be on the way, multiple rookies coming in, and you might recognize these new names are going to be more prominent than maybe some of the names you already recognize here. Number 5 machine you could see on the side of that race CPI Toyota Supra. Jonathan Cutlip making his first ever start. Rick Spencer Walt coming back to the track. He's right now on pit road, and Spencer Walt going to be the number 31 for tonight's festivities. Gino Marrow has been strong each and every race. Bristol, well, that was our last short track. It looked like he had a chance to maybe go out there and score a podium, but still, Gino has been denied many a time before. He's now looking to get himself inside the top 5 in qualifying, maybe knock the number 63 of Henry Kaloff off of that 5th place. Henry right now going to be in 5th, a quarter of a second off of your pole sitter, and then Jamie McKinney going to be an 1/8 of a second off of the number 99. Gino Marrow's first lap going to put him up into 11th here, so 20 plus drivers have registered. More are still coming through, and Marrow going to end his qualifying run. Now Matthew Weeks is on the way. Drivers only have that one lap. Keep that in mind. Very short qualifying session. At this short track, there's no room for error. Matthew, a little bit loose there. Don't think there's a chance to grab the pole position or maybe even a top 5. He'll have to put together some good speed now out of turns 3 and 4 to have a shot. Up to the top of the circuit, and he's going to take it on that highest groove. Matthew Weeks, 24.2. That's going to fall in for 9th. Certainly not where he would have liked to be, though. Just one mistake makes all the difference. Cutlip is getting extra practice laps here. Looks like now TJ learned that 85 is one of the only drivers on track. TJ is a rookie, and Ethan Burrell is as well. Number 37 coming across the stripe is already in 4th in qualifying, and it looks like that's a position he will stay in. Looks like Aaron Sire has returned again for his 2nd start this season. David Tooker back for his 3rd. So a lot of returning faces tonight as we have a larger field than we have for the past 3 races. And at Richmond, not often do you see a super speedway type crowd with a number of drivers, but we are in for a great race tonight as it looks like the entire field is ready to go at it once again. Qualifying has concluded, all times have been taken, and once again, your pole sitter, the 2-time champion Jordan Kuntz in a number 99. Looking for a rebound season, and so far it's been one of dominant proportion, 3 wins, and looking for his 4th tonight. Keep in mind that, of course, when we went to our first short track of the season in Kern County, this man, Jordan Kuntz, was the race winner. He knows what it takes, of course, to get it done in these smaller circuits. Bristol, also very quick at as well. I would not be counting out Kuntz by any means, and he might just be the race winning favorite. don't expect him to be completely unchallenged as the night goes on. Let's talk about who will be challenging Jordan Kuntz and all those on the starting grid, and get to know your drivers who showed up for tonight's Saturdays for Racers 150. Inside of row 1, well, you've already met him to this point. He's your championship leader, 3-time race winner this season, and of course the number 99's driver, Jordan Kuntz, with a 21.888, the fastest lap by a convincing 10th and 3/100ths after the fact. 22.012 for Jamie McKinney, not quite able to get in the threshold, under 22 seconds. Then you got Vinny Tigner in P3. Of course, won last race in Talladega. Then you got 4th place in Ethan Burrell. P5 going to go to Henry Kaloff, HKR. Multiple drivers today. Michael Deitchel's going to be driving for the team. And you got the number 10, a new driver as well. And that's going to be the rookie that has been, of course, not seen so far, but the 10 is back. It's driver Carmen Chandler. Matthew Weeks going to be 9th, and then Kenneth Gorell is in P10, 11th place. That's going to be Carter Casey with Gino Marrow in the 12th spot. Dana Van Meter, P13, and you got the number 35, also returning driver in Jonathan Cutlip with Michael Deitch in P15. Jackson Van Pelt then 16, and Ben Bushnell in the 17th spot. Final driver to take a time tonight, Rick Spencer Wall, a veteran that we have not seen so far this season. Great to have him back. Alec Daffin chose not to take a time. He's been quick at Richmond before. Best finish here, a 2nd place finish 2 seasons ago. He starts 19th with David Tooker, then in 20th. 21st place, then going to go to the number 29. You might remember him from Talladega. Well, he's returned again. Matthew White, the 85 of TJ Lair, is going to be in 22nd. It's going to be then Jonathan Sire in 23rd, and it will be the number 77 of Tyler Sevier in 24th and last. Tonight's starting grid, chock full of talent here from Richmond, and we are now only about 2.5 minutes away from seeing the grid assemble in real time. We know a lot of these faces, some of which we don't. Some new drivers also joining the fray. It's going to make tonight all the more exciting when we get back into the rhythm here in Virginia. Multiple short tracks we have on the schedule this season, and of course Richmond Raceway getting a chance to come back after a week off is always a little bit different in terms of that racing attitude. Hoping to see those long green flag runs develop. Maybe some of these drivers, of course, taking some time away from the sim as a whole. You don't quite know how they've been planning to prepare for tonight. When it comes to the championship, there is only one more short track left on the schedule. However, it's the most important race of the season, the championship finale at the equally distant 0.75-mile track, Iowa Speedway. There is no better practice for that championship race than what we are going to see tonight here in Richmond. It's going to be somewhat shorter, coming in at only 150 laps. However, it's going to be practically the same racing characteristics. The only big difference is most likely Iowa will be held in the day. Richmond here is going to be ran at night, and of course the pavement going to be somewhat different, so the reaction from tire to track, it's not going to be identical. However, these tracks are exactly the same shape, same size. This is a perfect opportunity to get that experience before, of course, going into the championship round. So for someone like Jordan Kuntz in number 99, someone maybe like Alec Daffin or Vinny Tigner and the like, they need to be taking notes, because this could be critical to the rest of their championship and success. If you make it in that final round, there's only one thing you have to do in Richmond: succeed. And in the winner-take-all formula, where in effect you have that points reset, there's no better option than to go out there and have the speed to win. You cannot rely on anyone else's mistakes in a championship setting. Right now, though, the fastest driver again in final practice looking to be Ethan Burrell in the number 37. The rookie looking rather quick as he makes his way into SNT for the very first time. Let's see whether or not he's got it in him, of course, to go out there and try to battle for the win. So far, the rookies have been largely outmatched and outclassed in 2024. Jacob Wilkerson, Jim Thurston, River Page have been the best example of those who have come into the series and have gone for race wins. But Burrell might be the next of which. With a quick time of a 21.855, Ethan Burrell finds himself fastest in second practice. Now as the track goes quiet for the final time tonight, it's about time we move on to your starting grid. 150 laps of racing here from Richmond, and to track we know all too well for some of the best short track racing on the SNT schedule. We've been to this track multiple times, as we have Bristol, or as we have Iowa, or as we have even a track like Five Flags. But there's something a little bit different about Richmond and its characteristics. It's a big momentum track, and it doesn't rely heavily on sharp corners. It's almost more of a free-flowing circuit. If we take a look from our eye in the sky, you'll see Richmond, a 3/4 mile circuit, is significantly wider. Not necessarily faster by nature. It all depends on those who are driving at the track. And taking a look top down, well, you see it clear there. Let's take a look directly overhead now tonight. Pit road is going to be largely empty. It looks like no driver decided to go for an alternative start. In the meantime, though, we still have a few moments until the iRacing pace car gets going. Let's talk about track condition. Tonight, ambient temperature of 65 degrees Fahrenheit and a track temp coming in at 67 degrees. Clear skies, although you won't see them all too much because it's already past sunset, and a relative humidity very low of 10%. Expecting tires, of course, to play a role, because this is, of course, a short track where we have these laps run repeatedly in such quick fashion, but it's not going to be any crazy degradation. Tires should be manageable, and the field should not have any trouble with grip or control, especially in the opening portion, the opening, say, 50 laps of this race. Conditions definitely in the driver's favor tonight, and it all comes down to how they decide to manage strategy, which in essence comes down to two choices: a two-stop strategy or a one-stop strategy. Drivers might decide to split this race in half, try to go some 75 laps and then go down a pit road, or they'll go the safe route. The first 50 laps are the first stint. You come down a pit road for the first time, then you wait another 50 laps, and then you go down a second time. That's something that we've seen before for drivers who try to take that alternate route, and it depends, of course, whether or not we get yellow flags or how other drivers react. That determines whether or not it's successful. Jordan Kuntz is going to be surrounded by rookies at the head of the field. Jamie McKinney, one of which. Then, of course, you got Ethan Burrell, just a row and a driver back. And then you have a few other rookies, including that number 10 machine, Carmen Chandler. Look further back, you got Jonathan Cutlip. You also have, at the very tail end of the field, drivers like Matthew White and number 85 of TJ Laird. Every other driver besides Aaron Siren, the number 73, has gotten onto the track tonight. So it looks like a field of 23 will be led to the start-finish line this time by. One lap to green. And Jordan Kuntz chasing what could be win number 4. And this regular season, very much reminiscent of last for the number 99 team. Matthew Weeks not able to yet break out for his first win, and it looks like a little bit of a championship slump. He's already gotten that big achievement, of course, winning the title last season, but now it looks like this is a series once again in Jordan's domain as he chases after what could be his 3rd championship in 4 seasons. Looking to see some exciting racing here from Richmond once again. Last time we came here was a duel again between Alec Daffin and Jordan Kuntz. Jordan has come out on top the past 2 times we've been to this venue, and it's practice for what is up next in our championship finale. Green flags out, and we're back racing again in Richmond. Jordan Kuntz leads us through the opening turns. Carter Casey, lazy 360, caution is out. Rest of the field gets away, but Carter Casey going to get a little bit of a tap coming out of turn 2. No damage besides some of that tire scuffing, and the number 8 is going to fall back. Track position lost significantly, although it looks like Carter will be fine to continue in this event. Yellow flag is out. Take a look back and you'll see it looks like Jackson Van Pelt on the back end of the number 8, and he will go sliding and luckily gets out of the way of everyone else. Jackson Van Pelt also gets through cleanly, and it looks like now Carter's going to be all the way in dead last, 23rd as it stands, although no damage done to anyone else, and so we don't get out of our first lap without a yellow flag. And that's something that has been admittedly common in SNT racing, the first lap yellow. It's happened many a time in this year. However, usually getting that first lap yellow is a good sign rather than a bad one, which is something you might not expect. Of course, to see a caution so early is never a good sounding thing, but if you think back to our championship finale, which was in Atlanta last season, lap 1 caution, we went the rest of the way scot-free. This is something that has admittedly become a little bit of a strength here for SNT, getting to that first incident and drivers tone it down immediately after. So we shouldn't have all too many worries about driving quality based on such a small incident, and we should be able to keep on going and hopefully get into a little bit of a longer rhythm next time around. Pit road not very popular, even Carter Casey deciding not to go in here, which is an interesting call. However, might be made for the fact that he was involved in the incident and will not give himself much an advantage here. However, if Carter were to go in, he could potentially splash fuel and get himself a few laps over the rest of the pack if he were to hedge his bets on a long-term run, which I guess he's not going to decide and do so, leading the rest of the field to be on the exact same load of fuel. Not going to give himself any advantage already now with some tire scuffing. No major moves made as we've only taken 2 turns under green, 1 lap until we head back, and it looks like it's still going to be Jamie McKinney up top and Jordan Kuntz right down low to lead the field at lap number 6. Top 10, relatively the same, no major differences, and so it's almost a de facto start of the race here and now. Every driver going to be able to be good to go once again. Carter Casey gets in line, no damage, and so he'll continue without error. Yellow flag out for the first time tonight, lap 1. Restart at lap number 6, and so the iRacing official pace car put away. It's time for the 99 to go racing again. Green flags out. Jordan Kuntz, once again your leader, side by side for second. Kuntz gets away. Field is going to be significantly cleaner this time around. No trouble. We're racing from Richmond. Good to see Jordan Kuntz, of course, getting out without any incident, as he did with Vinny Tigner. Notably, Vinny able to jump past Jamie McKinney. Yellow flags out for the second time today. Back of the field, it looks to be all the way at the tail end. Caution is out. Looks like, above all else, Gino Marrow going to get involved. Caution's out again, although it looks like no major sliding, so we'll take a look back here and figure out why the yellow flag flew. Caution's out again. Gino Marrow looked to be one of the few involved, and so we're at a standstill once more. And it looks like what a save it was, because Gino Marrow punting that number 10 of Carmen Chandler, the rookie, with a huge save. And another safety yellow. Everyone kept it together. Carmen Chandler, though, the driver of the hour already, with a huge miss of a yellow flag. Admittedly, we do get the yellow flag to fly, but Carmen giving little reason, as you can see. An instant replay. Gino Marrow, contact, sliding up the track. And still we stay green. Of course, in a few laps' time. No driver is going to be negatively afflicted with any major damage. Carmen, maybe some of that tire scrubbing we've mentioned before, but it looks like everyone else gets away without incident again. And so, second caution in 10 laps, and you might think that's a, once again, bad signal of the racing we've had, but that was a great save. And unfortunately, iRacing looks like it's the reason for the caution being called. Seeing a driver out of control sliding, system's just going to detect an error, and so that's a yellow flag automatically thrown. Great job from Carmen Chandler to save it, and Gino Marrow, props for, of course, backing off and not really making that situation any more aggressive than it should have been. And now we find ourselves in a position again where we will restart and restack the field for the second time tonight. 11 laps in out of 150, and you can see the tire marks. And as wide of a drift as that was, it surely was not easy to save, and definitely iRacing not expecting that to be out of control any longer than it was. The pit road that time by. First takers include Connor Asbell and Jonathan Cutlip. So now we do have drivers who are starting to experiment with the idea of heading down and in. Pit road is surely going to be used a little bit more if we continue to get cautions, although once again another anomaly of an incident, something you really wouldn't see all too often. That being said, I don't think we're going to see more drivers really come down to pit road unless we do have an incident that is worth coming down for. Damage, once again, not recorded by any of those afflicted, and of the drivers who were participating in those caution-bringing incidents, none of which have decided to head to pit road even once. Neither Carter Casey, Gino Marrow, nor the 10 of Carmen Chandler. Carmen will start in 8th, Gino in 7th after that incident. So looks like Gino does make the pass after all. Restart number 2 on the day. Let's hopefully get into the longer swing of things now. After a great save from Carmen Chandler, we were under yellow. We're back again for your second restarts. Kuntz is going to break out by north of a half second there, it almost appears. Jamie McKinney now going to try to reel him back in, and Vinny Tigner, for all that he was able to gain, it looks like being put up on the high side will make him lose. Chandler, interestingly enough, is already just outside the battle for second, and Carmen is putting down some pressure after that major slide. Gino Marrow right there with, and Ethan Burrell, the number 37. Talk about a rookie. Well, you got one right in front. Ethan Burrell now moves up to P3. Jamie McKinney, Ethan Burrell, Carmen Chandler going to be the rookies of the race so far, 3 of which inside the top 10. And now fighting with the league owner and defending winner in Tigner. Well, the number 44 drops down low, and so you can see another move made for Burrell. That's going to drop Vinny back into 4th again. Taking a look at the tail end of the field, and you'll see that even though we've oftentimes attributed many yellow flags all throughout short track racing to the shenanigans of the back half of the field, we're not just talking about SNT, but all of simulation racing in general. SNT prides itself on green flag racing no matter the venue. Bristol, yes, a little bit trickier than most of our races, but Richmond usually gives us a good chance to flesh out the racing attitude of drivers. It is not a half-mile circuit, it is a 3/4-mile venue, so there's a little bit more room than there would be at the Paperclip or at the last great Coliseum, and so we don't often see drivers ramming into each other uncontrollably. We do see contact, as you can see there. Carter Casey very close with the number 27, but it isn't anything out of proportion, and you don't often see drivers here worried about getting slammed up into the wall or moving out of the preferred groove, because every groove at Bristol is subject to, of course, track conditions. Every groove at Martinsville is subject to banking. Every groove at Richmond can be used almost evenly if the track is developed and run in just right. You can see now the number 27 going to be up on the middle groove. Some drivers even take it up to the ceiling if necessary to save fuel or save tire. Anything here in Richmond, it goes. So as long as you know how to put yourself in the right position to succeed based on your driving style, there's never much a problem. You'll see the number 85 at TJ Lair here with Carter Casey. Carter moving back up the order. This is the battle for the 15th position, and it looks like now Carter Casey can have himself a chance to look a little bit lower on TJ, so that will give him access to the pass. He'll drop down to the bottom and keep himself here. Although you can see TJ doing a pretty good job of just keeping that middle groove, which has a little bit more momentum coming down the back straightaway. And with Richmond being so reliant on that momentum, if you build up well through turn one, the rest of the lap, it's all in the driver's hands. It's nothing that can be completely ruined. Instead, just comes down to doing a good job to this opening sector. Looks like Carter Casey does the job better here, and he'll make it around number 85 in due time. Further up the field, Alec Daffin is still trying to make some gains. I mean, I think he's the biggest mover so far, and let's prove that by the numbers. 19th up to 8th. Well, he's going to be scored in 7th next time by. He is up 12 so far, and it looks like he's got himself ahead now of even Carmen Chandler in that number 10. And Daffin, we were perplexed as to why he did not take a qualifying run. Well, it looks like, regardless of him deciding to abstain from going on the track, or whether or not he had a reason to, perhaps he just was not at the sim during that 5-minute period. He also did not set a time in second practice either. Nevertheless, Alec has not made it easy for himself, and yet so far he has succeeded and is going to be in the top 5 conversation very soon, so long as he keeps up the pace. Talking about the last 4 laps he's run relative to leader Jordan Kuntz, well, you'll see right now that he has been gaining ever so slightly. It's put a 1/10 of a second on Jordan Kuntz over the past 4 laps, which means he is catching up to the next group ahead, which includes Gino Marrow, Henry Kaloff, and Vinny Tigner, with Ethan Burrell, the line leader, alongside Jamie McKinney. Take a ride on board now with the 63 of Kaloff as we'll watch him ride in the back of the train. Side by side now, Jamie McKinney and Ethan Burrell, some of the newer drivers in this field, now getting a chance to run alongside one another. And so far, it looks like the advantage is in Burrell's hands. Jamie McKinney here, going to be down the back on the higher side, which hasn't been worn in as well as the lower groove. Definitely tonight, the inside has the advantage for now, but that doesn't always remain the same. Remember, we were here, same car, same track, just a few weeks ago in the Highline Racing League, in which we saw Scott Zellner take away his first victory of the campaign. Strategy in the first lap does not determine strategy in the last lap. And usually, so long as you can find yourself at about the halfway point, still in a contending position, as long as you're there, in a spot where you can continue to stay within the reach of the top 10 and top 5. And of course, as the laps wind down, you have to be much closer to the leader. There's always a chance, whether or not it comes down to fuel mileage or it comes down to that raw pace. Sometimes we do see green-white checkered finishes, although pretty rare at Richmond, especially now that we're getting into that rhythm once again. It just comes down to how you approach things, and it looks like now Vinny Tigner is going to be fighting with Jamie McKinney to get by. That's for third. And Jamie looking to have an unsustainable approach, shall we say, as the 51 now sees both Gino Marrow and Hunter Kaloff battling each other. Maybe this will provide just enough distraction to help out in that number 51, at least temporarily. You can see now Gino to the bottom, Kaloff up top, both of which are still trying to make gains. One of Henry Kaloff's best racetracks this is here in Richmond Raceway. You might remember just 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually it was the same night the Highline Racing League went to this very track. Henry Kaloff and HKR getting their first OSRL Premier Series victory coming at this very circuit. In the ARCA cars, however, with a little bit of higher horsepower, maybe a little bit more difficult to drive for most drivers' beliefs, their standards, Kaloff got the job done. Incredibly stout field on Thursday night's OSRL has, and for Kaloff, his first ever victory in that league. So he knows what it takes to get to a track like Richmond and succeed. He's had top 5 pace before at the short track. As recently as Bristol this season, he led more than a dozen laps, and only 1 win so far in Kaloff's SNT career. And if there's any track where he's going to win again and find his second, I would think that of all places, it would be here in Richmond. As it stands, 33 laps in out of 150, he finds himself in 5th, and now he's going to have to work Jamie McKinney over to make a pass, because very soon, Alec Daffin will join the fray. And Alec now getting closer and closer. He's also gained a few tenths still on Jordan Kuntz. It's not as if Allen, of course, is not gaining, but instead, it looks like the rest of the field behind him is dropping back his way. Currently, Jordan Kuntz leads by a 1.5 seconds. Ethan Burrell, the rookie, is in P2, and I think now Vinny Tigner might have a chance to snatch that second spot away. Let's see, of course, whether or not the 12 can do it. His first win at a superspeedway in his SNC career, Vinny Tigner able to break through 2 weeks ago and collect a checkered flag in an 80-lap feature. It was a long haul, and admittedly, we had many cautions from start to finish, but nevertheless, we got there, and some drivers got there in one piece. It was a green-white checkered finish. We went 81 laps of racing, and it was eventually the number 12 who got the job done. So 35 laps in out of 150, now coming to lap number 36 and beyond. Tigner, maybe a chance to go for another podium calmly and solidly, as Vinny Tigner, of course, sees Jordan Kuntz is running away. Question becomes, can Jordan Kuntz maintain the position he has here, or is he destined to fall back? We've seen before in multiple outcomes that Jordan Kuntz has fallen back to the field after the opening run of a short track race. Sometimes it's the opposite direction where drivers fall back to him. Notably, you think about 5 Flags last season, in which he was not the dominant driver in the first half. Instead, it was Connor James, but then it ended up being the 99 who took the rest of the race. However, Bristol, this season, the tire battle was close. The pace battle was even closer. Jordan Kuntz was not the outlying driver on speed for most of the night, and Kern County was a tight fight as well when it came to pace until the very end. He and Alec Daffin and Vinny Tigner alike going toe-to-toe. Sometimes it looks like Jordan Kuntz can pull away. Other times it looks like he's dropping back. Looking at the numbers right now relative to he and Ethan Burrell, well, you'll see this much. Yeah, it looks like Ethan has been able to gain some 1/10 in the past 2 laps, or 4 laps, shall we say. Most of the gaining has come in the last 2-lap stretch, though. So let's see whether or not Ethan can continue that. It looks like he's due to once again as he comes across the line. Ethan Burrell going to close that gap from 1.46 to 1.42. So far, the trend continues, although we'll see whether or not that ends up being anything in the long term. Burrell trying to get away now from Vinny Tigner. All the while, Alec Daffin coming up on Henry Kaloff. Daffin inside the top 5 for the first time tonight. Back of the field continues driving hard. Trey Holmes coming up on Kenneth Garrell, and they'll go side by side. Sliding, Trey Holmes comes down to the inside of the circuit. We will not have a yellow flag, but the number 88 goes down to the grass, almost out of control. Holmes is going to lose many a spot and now finds himself outside the top 20, 23rd and last Trey Holmes is, as a result of this incident. Take a replay and we'll see exactly what happened. Holmes was running with Kenneth Garrell, and it looks like both drivers were fighting for the same racing real estate. Unfortunately for Holmes, he was down on the inside and got knocked to the bottom. Quarter panel contact with the 57, and luckily the 57 didn't turn in on Trey Holmes, but the worst thing for Trey is that he was the driver that turned in instead. So now Trey is going to be in dead last with minimal damage. Again, he will be able to continue without all too much worry for the rest of this race. He's just going to find himself significantly further back than all those he was previously racing around. Number 55 of Ben Bushnell is going to keep on going. Furthermore, you got Carter Casey in the mix. Interesting, that paint scheme for the driver that we're looking at in Ben Bushnell. Take a very close look at that number 11. Take a very close look at the contingencies on that paint scheme, and you might recognize that is a paint scheme made for the Highline Racing League, which is broadcast again live on FTN. Interesting when we see drivers do throwback paint schemes to others, and we've seen it many a time before when it comes to the Highline Racing League. The wonderful Dylan Body has been a long time the commander-in-chief of our paint schemes at the Highline Racing League on Thursday nights, and oftentimes those paint schemes get published, and it looks like this one did as well. That's going to be the number 11, which this season we have not yet seen that paint scheme, so interesting for the very first time to see it come to life. If we take a look a little bit closer, and we'll try to zoom in on it here, this is not the type of throwback we were expecting tonight. However, drivers are expected to go for a theme for tonight's race. It's going to be rock and roll paint schemes all night long. We do have a few of which we would like to cover, but if you take a very close look, that is Matt Owens in the number 11. That is his paint scheme in the Highline Racing League, broadcast on Thursday nights, and if you look at the side panels, the FTN broadcasting logo is on that Toyota Supra. Interesting for Matt Owens to be shown here. Ben Bushnell going to be the driver, of course, in that number 11 tonight. So throwing it back to Thursday, just a few days ago. Now going to be battling with Kenneth Garrell once again. Kenneth finding himself in the all-gray number 57. New paint scheme for him, but not one of those that is on theme. Let's go through the field and figure out who is matching the theme for tonight's event. Connor Asbell coming in very close, and a few of the drivers who are working with our theme tonight, they have told us that they have, of course, completed that requirement. Or shall we say, it's not required, but it is a theme night, and when we go down to Richmond, many a time we see special themes. So let's talk about those who have brand new looks. First and foremost, while we're looking here at the 57 and the 72, we'll take it close to, the number 55, Ben Bushnell down the track. He keeps it together, no incident. Let's talk first and foremost about the 07 of Jackson Van Pelt. Involved in the very first incident of the day, it's that Green Day 07. New look for Jackson using his traditional white and black base paint scheme, but tonight he does have a sponsor. And for Green Day, American Idiot, the album he's throwing it back to, here's some 20 years ago now, and it looks like, of course, for the 017 trying to recover from that first caution and doing a strong job of just that. Up on the high side, it's going to be Jackson now making a move and trying to get up there with David Zucker. One of the only other drivers that we would, of course, like to acknowledge and working this one out is a driver who I don't think qualifies as a rock and roll paint scheme, but still working with a musician tonight, and that would be Michael Deitch in 21st, and he's got the Billy Joel paint scheme, which, again, I don't necessarily know if he qualifies as rock and roll in the same sense as someone like Green Day. That one's up to debate. If anyone in chat has anything they'd like to say about that, make sure to let us know. You might notice on the back end, he's got UBS sponsorship, the UBS Arena in Elmont, New York, very close to multiple stadiums Billy Joel has toured at, which one in particular, Nassau, they have the Memorial Coliseum, Madison Square Garden, which I believe both Green Day and Billy Joel performed at many a time. It's one of the most famous stadiums all throughout the country. Now, one thing we don't often see when we talk about short track racing is concerts and additional venues. Richmond might be up next on that potential list. We're talking about the NASCAR Cup Series venue, Bristol Motor Speedway, getting a Major League Baseball game. There's a lot going on in the world of show business, and a few drivers tonight. Well, we thank them both for, of course, representing and giving us something to talk about here. 55 laps in out of 150. Strategy so far, it has been very calm and very simple. As we've gotten those early kinks out of the way, it looks like now Jordan Kuntz running with cruise control. All the while, Vinny Tigner and Alec Daffin might be drawing nearer. Alec gets up into the fourth spot, and that number 48 is still pushing up the order. He's up 15 on the day so far, and is clearly the hard charger as it stands. Not an easy race so far for Alec Daffin, and yet he has continued to succeed. You got him now in fifth place, of course, Henry Kaloff. Gino Marrow going to be sixth, and it looks like Gino is the driver who's gotten away better than, of course, the other driver he was involved with in our most recent caution, Carmen Chandler. Not to say Carmen's doing bad, though, because Chandler now finds himself in 10th. Just hasn't been the most upward day when it comes to moving through the pylon. He's going to have to compete now with a multitude of quick drivers coming up up on him. Notably, Jonathan Cutlip coming back, and it looks like now that number 35 is taking a look to the bottom side of the track, and that neon yellow Toyota Supra is going to take a pass and might bring another Supra right with them. That would be, of course, Matthew Weeks. Carmen Chandler going to have to move back. Rick Spencer Wall is going to head down a pit road, and now pit road gets busy for the first time tonight. Two-stop strategy. We said it is on the table. Here's one driver deciding to go for it. That is Rick Spencer Walt, and he's going to be the first of many. So if Spencer Walt makes it through, will any other driver decide to follow him? Remains to be seen, because we are not yet at that halfway point, and I think, of course, that drivers have their sights set on going the distance here rather than coming in on a very fast run down low. Gotta wait some 15 more laps to be truly safe to make it to the end of this night. David Tooker coming back up here on Jonathan Cutlip. This will be the battle for 8th with Jamie McKinney now on the losing end of it. Jamie has been falling back through the order, started in 2nd, and the rookie tonight has been, of course, putting out a strong showing. Hasn't quite been able to stay up there inside the top 5, but nevertheless consistent and hasn't fallen too far back too quickly. Maybe hang on to stay inside the top dozen before, of course, pit road gets busy again. 61 laps in, out of 150 here. Jamie McKinney 10th, David Tooker in 11th, and Carmen Chandler here in 12th. Jackson Van Pelt has been able to keep up with this pack, albeit he's the final driver inside of it. And I don't think he's done making gains. Last time by for Carmen Chandler, 23.191. For Jackson Van Pelt, 23.198. However, both of which were significantly quicker than Jamie McKinney and David Tooker. McKinney running 0.4 of a second slower. David Tooker running 1.5 tenths behind that number as well. That being said, looks like right now, David Tooker continuing his move upward. Jonathan Cutlip as well. Jonathan has been quiet today, though. Started in 14th, was as low as 23rd, and it looks like he's been on that upward trajectory all the same time. Let's see whether or not, of course, Jonathan can keep moving. He's got now Matthew White up next. Matthew's a driver who we have almost not mentioned at all tonight, and it looks like he's getting himself into a battle of his own. Matthew coming up on Gino Marrow, Henry Kaloff, and Matthew Weeks. And you would see now Weeks has made his way up into 5th. Oh, so quickly. The gap between he and Jordan Kuntz is due to shrink, so long as that Matthew Weeks machine continues to push at the rate he's been going. Although with that traffic he's just gotten to go by, it's not going to be easy, but another set of positions made up brings Matthew Weeks up inside the top 5. So Weeks is up to 5th. That's going to put Henry Kaloff back in the 6th position. Then you got 7th place for Gino Marrow. Interestingly enough, you see right there, Matthew White still hanging on. Let's see if he can defend against Henry Kaloff, or whether or not he's got the pace to even do so. Gino Marrow gets in the wall ever so slightly, nothing too severe, and looks like he should be able to continue as well. Take a ride on board right now with the number 29 of Matthew White as he continues his battle to stay inside the top 10. Pushing to the rev limit, Matthew White, you can see the handwork is critical through the corners, but also understanding how to work through the gears. 4th now, he's going to be pushing as hard as he can, up to some 8,000 revs a minute before letting off once more. Some drivers have been shifting here in Richmond. Matthew White is not one of which. He's assigned to stay in 4th gear, flat-footing it down the straightaways, and you can see him get up to the rev limiter nearly 8,500 before backing it down again. These Xfinity Series cars have a rev limit at about 8,200 revs, so they got to be a little bit more careful than maybe the Next-Gen Cup Series cars, which can go up to a total of 9,000 before having any concern. As it stands, Matthew White has been able to keep up more with Matthew Weeks than he has dropped back to Henry Kaloff. It looks like his worries of falling out of relevancy, shall we say,
I don't think he has many. He's got himself in a fair position right now where I don't believe he's going to fall back into the clutches of Kaloff or Marrow or, well, Gino Marrow's going to make that rather easy. He's going to go down in here at lap number 70, and perhaps a little bit earlier than we expected, especially because we had caution laps. But hey, Gino Marrow decided to do something different. He will drop down and in early. And perhaps influenced slightly by the decisions made on track and how he had a little bit of damage. Nevertheless, that's going to leave Henry Kaloff here in 7th. Jonathan Cutlip is in 8th, and David Tooker is in 9th. Last man of the top 10 is still going to be Carmen Chandler. Jamie McKinney, well, you see him a little bit further back. He is in 11th, getting by the lapper there, the number 55 of Ben Bushnell. And now looks like maybe another spot can be taken for Jackson Van Pelt. Looking low, Jackson does for the first time, but doesn't think much of it as it looks like the door is shut on him once again. Slam shut, as a matter of fact. You could see that quick movement is going to leave Jackson Van Pelt up in the wall, and here comes Carter Casey once more. Casey continuing a sort of redemption arc in this race, and it looks like that number 8 has found himself back in the perfect position once again to gain. TJ Lair goes down to pit road after 74 laps of 150, and if you take a look on the left side of your screen now, well, you'll figure out exactly what's going on. Notably, as it stands now, most drivers have still not come down to pit road, however, many are still due to. Jonathan Cutlip, Connor Asbell, Tyler Seaver, and the number 77, all of which have now come down at least once. Back of the field, you'll see more of the same trend, but halfway in, leader Jordan Kuntz has decided to stay out all race, which means he will be safe to go the rest of the way. And it looks like the one-stop strategy, which we expected on an unlimited fuel cell, it is the winning call tonight. Jackson Van Pelt stays out. Dana Van Meter just went down and in, and so Dana going to be accompanied by none on the run-through. Gino Marrow decided to go through early. A significant undercut. He'll have to go some 77, 78 laps for this gamble to pay off. Passing by the 55 of Ben Bushnell right now. This is going to be a battle for position based on the fact that both of which are not lead lappers. Now you'll see up and ahead Ethan Burrell in 2nd, Vinny Tigner in 3rd, Alec Daffin still in P4, all of which have decided not to head down and in. Waiting on the biggest opportunity, of course, the one and only pit stop that should have any implication on strategy. Daffin's going to run right down to the bottom, and it looks like with that, he's going to stay out of the circuit yet again. Most drivers have still decided to hold the fort beyond the lap number 75 point. We expected halfway to be the exact indicator of when drivers would like to go through. So far, not necessarily the case. Definitely not for everyone, although Kenneth Gurrell now comes back on his way after a 75-plus lap stint. Gurrell returns, and now he's back at it, lap number 78. And take a look at how quickly Kenneth already gets up to pace here with Jonathan Cutlip. It's an indication of exactly what we expect from drivers on new rubber. Gripping the track as quick as possible, Kenneth makes it around on the high side, no less, and is going to leave Jonathan Cutlip in the dust. The difference is not in the straightaways. It's almost negligible in the straightaways, but when you come down through the corners, it's like a rocket ship when you're on new tires here. So there's an incentive, yes, to go down and in, but a lot of drivers are still going to try and hold off here. Jamie McKinney battling with Carter Casey. Talk about two drivers that have not gone in. Well, you see here, cutting down low, Jamie McKinney still trying to hang on, but I think at this rate, he might have to cut his losses. Carter Casey going to look up to the high side, and now with a little bit more momentum, maybe off the corner, should be able to keep that position. If not, go for a little bit more. 70 laps to go, live on FTN. You're watching Halfway here in Saturday Night Thunder. We'll be right back after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Welcome you back live on FTN. Yellow flag is out for the third time today here in Richmond, and we are once again going to go racing lap 89 out of 150. It's into the tail end of the field. Drivers involved have already pulled off the circuit. One lap down respectively. It will be both Dana Van Meter and Connor Asbell. The rest of the field, though, looks to be going strong as we return back to live coverage. Matthew Weeks is on timing and scoring anyway, your new race leader. Jordan Kuntz currently going to be P9, and you can see him back here. Tire strategy now going to be affecting how these drivers go at it, and it looks like the 99 of Kuntz is going to go up top side here as everyone continues to shuffle out. So many drivers going to get caught one lap down as a result of that strategy, and it looks like Jordan Kuntz, one of which will be able to escape, and you can see them all here getting back up to Matthew Weeks, David Zucker, Henry Kaloff, Carter Casey, Michael Deitch, Ben Bushnell, Tyler Seaver. Those are the 7 that did not go into pit road. So as a result, all of which are going to be given that advantage up at the front of the field, track position here, and so to speak, a free pass through pit road. It'll be interesting to see how someone like Jordan Kuntz, who was dominant today, he's already led 80 plus laps. How is he going to be able to return and get back up in front? So far, he's had a wonderful race, but of the past few laps, of course, now he finds himself at the tail end. The fewest laps he's led at these short tracks, well, we'd have to look back to Bristol. Not able to get anything more than 24. Tonight, he's already led more than half the race, although timing and scoring not going to show it to you right there. Matthew Weeks, your new race leader, and with 1 lap to green, we'll go back at it again with the number 11. First time all night, he's up in front. It'll be Weeks, Tooker, Kaloff, and Carter Casey. 1, 2, 3, 4 as we go back at it again. Lap 91 out of 150, which means there are only 60 laps to go. Green flag's out now as we come to only 59 laps left. It's going to be Matthew Weeks, and up top, David Tooker leading the way once again. Weeks is going to stand strong and keep himself advantageous. Then you got to look and you'll see the number 7 of Jordan Kuntz. Jordan is going to take it to the high side of the track here, and I think trying to barrel it up high to perhaps save just a little bit of what's left in the tire. All the while, he still has to make passes. Benjamin Bushnell going to be up next. This is the first time Bushnell has been inside the top 10 all night long. For Michael Deitch, it's the first time he's been in the top 5 all night long, both of which are unprecedented territory. This is about the best position they've had throughout the entire race. So let's see what Jordan Kuntz can do, understanding it's going to be very different from this point onward with the drivers who he's around. Up top, Jordan Kuntz still is. Now, Ben Bushnell making it rather close contact, and it's going to be the number 11 sent down the circuit. Jordan Kuntz is not going to have any of it, and he'll get right by. Bushnell going to get sent further back down the order. Jordan Kuntz is going to get away. 57 laps to go, coming to 56, and Jordan Kuntz is going to be the man on the mission now, trying to get back up in front. So far, though, it looks like he's still having some troubles as he comes across the back straight. Michael Deitch, Carter Casey, Henry Kaloff are his next targets. So far, it's not been easy the way he's had to go around these drivers. Benjamin Bushnell in particular giving him a real fight. So we'll see what happens up next with Michael Deitch now having a look in that rearview mirror, and he'll see that very soon the number 99 will be right there with him. Almost going to lay the chrome horn here. Jordan Kuntz is coming back with a vengeance. So far, Michael Deitch defending well, hasn't really had to worry all too much about being too close to comfort, and it looks like right now he's sitting in that 5th spot, just behind his teammate, 2 spots back on Henry Kaloff. HKR in the position again for what could be a double top 5. Of course, we'll see whether or not Michael Deitch has the pace to keep it up here for a long run, but so far he has been consistently quicker than a driver like Ethan Burrell, and Jordan Kuntz is not having an easy time getting around him. Nevertheless, you'll see looking down low, there's the number 8 machine. That's going to be Carter Casey, and with them, it's the 99 of Jordan Kuntz. Now Jordan makes his way right around the number 17. It'll be Michael Deitch falling back to 6th. Jordan Kuntz now in P5. Take a look back, you'll also see Vinny Tigner. With them, it'll be the number 5 of Jonathan Cutlip. Toe-to-toe once again, and here you have it. It's also going to be Jackson Van Pelt. A little bit slower, coming down the back straightaway, but the slowest of all will be Connor Asbell. Connor just got inside the wall, and he's going to fall back multiple positions. You can see him still up high, fading back. 88 of Trey Holmes coming up on Carmen Chandler, both of which are going to be getting oh so close now to the number 72. Connor's already 1 lap down, mind you, and now finds himself in the lead pack. He was involved in that most recent incident and now has to get back all the way, maybe trying to earn that lap back the hard way and try to get it back naturally here. 50 laps remain here in Richmond. Up at the head of the field is still going to be Matthew Weeks. Got David Tooker 2nd, Henry Kaloff 3rd, and 4th in Carter Casey. P5 now will be the number 99 of Jordan Kuntz. However, it Looks like he's still got a ways to go to even get back up to the number 8. Right now, the gap between he and Carter Casey comes down to a half a second. And over the last few intervals, Jordan Kuntz, to take a look, he versus the leader, no gain. It's been only 4/100ths of a second lost, but no positive movement. And what a turnaround these last few laps have been for the majority of this race. What looked to be Jordan Kuntz dominating all night long has turned into Matthew Weeks finding his way to the race lead. Potentially victory lane would be up next and could come for the number 11 if, of course, he hangs tough from this point onward. Checkered flag might be in the sights of this number 11 team, but of course, he's got to stay ahead of David Tooker, and Tooker so far hasn't shown signs of being all too aggressive, but he has been able to keep up the same pace, and it's been 4/10 of a second back for the better part of these last 15 laps. Every driver here, for the most part, is on brand new rubber. This lap, of course, going to be their 16th. They went down to pit road some 15, 16 laps to go, and getting that opportunity to get for new tires means that their last few laps have only been a few tenths off their best. David Tooker that time by ran a 22.509. His best lap was a 22.202, so the difference is marginal across these laps, and it means that drivers will have a chance to really push themselves further. This will not be a 75 lap stint, it'll be just over 50, and you could already see we've knocked a few laps off of that total to come down to 45 laps to go. Alec Daffin coming up on Michael Deitch here. It looks like this is going to move Deitch back into 8th. All the while, Alec Daffin at the number 47 will try to make a move, can't quite get there. Alec Daffin for Shaw Racing looking to get back inside the top 5. He started in 14th tonight, or rather started in 19th. By the first 5 laps conclusion, he was in 14th. Got up to as high as 4th. Now finds himself back in 7th. Question becomes, can Alec Daffin do all he did again and make those moves back up the order? So far, he's gotten up to 7th, but still has a few more places to make up. Next position would be Ethan Burrell if he'd like to get up to 6th, although it looks like Carter Casey and Jordan Kuntz now are fighting. That's going to be for 4th here. Advantage, Jordan Kuntz. At long last, the number 99 now has a chance to make a move by the number 8 of Carter Casey. Was able to get the pass, but definitely has lost more time than he's gained. The advantage here for the number 99, well, it is dissipated, and now that everyone's on level playing field again, it looks like there's nothing more that Jordan can do besides wait for another caution. He went down to pit road just a lap earlier as a result, of course, of that caution, and now finds himself in a position where he's only losing time to those up and ahead. Now a second back on Henry Kaloff in 3rd, and it looks like for Kaloff, if he wants to go out there and win tonight, well, it's almost completely lined up in his hands. He already got a victory at this track 2 Thursdays ago with OSRL. Now, he's going to have to find a way to get past those final 2 drivers who are ahead of him in Tooker and Matthew Weeks if he wants to seal the deal. Right now, though, advantage is still Matthew Weeks by 3.5 tenths. Then you have David Tooker in 2nd, Henry Kaloff in 3rd, Jordan Kuntz is in 4th. Now it looks like Jonathan Cutlett goes side by side with Alec Daffin. Advantage is going to be Alec Daffin up top for now. Let's see if that remains the same. 48 Machine's going to see some fight back on the bottom groove, but it looks like Alec again is the faster driver in this pairing. Daffin, another move made, and already he has his sights set on potentially getting by Carter Casey. Just has to hang on for the next few laps, and he'll be right there in no time, running about a 1/10 of a second faster each lap than number 8 just ahead of him. Take a look on board, and we'll show exactly how quick Alec Daffin is. Now, looking at David Tooker, is he burning up his tire? That remains the question. He and Matthew Weeks are running now further away from Henry Kaloff and the rest of the field, but as you can see, Jordan Kuntz is not yet all out of luck. He's a second back on third place, and here's the rookie, of course, Jordan Burrell in the 37, or Ethan Burrell, shall we say, fighting right back. Ethan now actually has himself quicker and younger tire, and you can see, well, he has that advantage. He hasn't quite been able to get around Jordan Kuntz just yet. Ethan's gonna fade back and let that number 99 roll again. Henry Kaloff, meanwhile, is once more a second and a 10th up on the 99. Ethan so far has been getting closer and closer to Jordan Kuntz, but has not quite been able to shake him. Or, of course, Jordan hasn't been able to shake that 37 of Burrell. Alec Daffin is coming up now on Carter Casey, and the number 5 of Jonathan Cutlip once again dives low, and has been using that aggressive tactic to sort of dissuade the 48 from getting away. And it's much more challenging, of course, when a driver like Cutlip continues to throw it in on you. It isn't anything too wrong, shall we say. It is an aggressive maneuver, but there's no contact, and it's not malicious, but it certainly is not easy to deal with. And right now, Alec Daffin has to face the fact, of course, that this is not going to be a simple task. Jonathan Cutlip right now has been keeping him honest, and it looks like he is not getting away anytime soon. Daffin is going to end up going up to the high side, and with that, he's got Carter Casey still blocking ahead. It's a very even battle between 5th, 6th, and 7th here, and 6, 7, 8, shall we say, continues to fight as well. Ethan Burrell, Jordan Kuntz now toe-to-toe once more, and Ethan has continued to just poke his head out ever so slightly to no avail. Henry Kaloff is now a second behind your top 2, and now comfortably in 3rd. Gotta wonder whether or not Henry even has what it takes to hang on for this final spot in the podium. It looks like overall, he's been dropping back further to Jordan Kuntz than he's been keeping up with the leaders, which is not a positive sign for his sake, but definitely looking better for drivers like Daffin, Cutlip, Casey, Kuntz, and Burrell, all of which are looking to take at least a spot or 2 more. And notably now, Jonathan Cutlip is working Alec Daffin for overtime here. You could see that number 48 having no trouble until, of course, Carter Casey got ahead, and now Cutlip got down low. He's boxed out, and he's going to have to step back before doing anything else. Carter Casey now side by side with Cutlip. Jonathan continuing to put down the pressure, and this is the battle even still for the 6th place. Carter Casey remains up high in that number 8 Lucas Oil Chevrolet. Alec Daffin goes with, maybe going to support him just a little bit more by bringing that momentum, but Cutlip doesn't find that as any reason to stop trying. Jonathan dives even lower here, and it looks like he almost comes away clear. Just can't. Instead, he's going to back off once again, race down the back straightaway, and keep things dead even. Alec Daffin still with the best view in the house here. You can see Cutlip does not have any quit in him. He's going to stay right there toe-to-toe. And it's more exciting to see whether or not that number 5 can keep on going than anything else. He's got Lucas Oil's number 8. Of course, Carter Casey right there with them, and Alec Daffin now going to be acting as our de facto cameraman. He's showing you exactly how close it is between the 2 grooves. Both drivers are running completely different lines. They're running on the high side or the low side. Carter Casey has decided to take it from the middle all the way up to the top. Meanwhile, Jonathan Cutlip has had no choice but to run all the way down low. He does not have any other room than to do just that. And nevertheless, it looks like Carter Casey will no longer hang on. With 25 laps to go, Carter will concede, Cutlip will take 6th, and it looks like the battle, for all intents and purposes, has concluded. A good battle at that between those 2 drivers. Wonderful work from Cutlip and Casey, clean, yet very much aggressive, and it looks like the number 5 just has the pace to eke out when it's all said and done. Jordan Kuntz and Ethan Burrell here, they're not done either, and it looks like regardless of Jordan Kuntz being somewhat quicker, he has been hounded by the 37 for the past 10, 15 laps. I think the question remains whether or not, of course, Jordan Kuntz now can get by Henry Kaloff. Much like Carter Casey was to Alec Daffin, Henry Kaloff is ahead, he is slower, and might perhaps serve as a little bit of a roadblock. 23 laps to go this time by, and next time around, we're going to crank it up with iRacing's best cameras. Visit trackcams22.com. If you're an iRacing broadcaster, there's no better choice than track cams for gourmets. They're providing tonight's iRacing car and track cameras that you're seeing here on your screen with the best angles, the best sounds, and the best sights. We're going to crank it up now with 22 laps to go here from Richmond, courtesy of our friends at trackcams22.com. Matthew Weeks now on the verge of victory, and tonight the difference was a caution. He stayed out, Jordan Kuntz did not, and right now Jordan's still going to be paying the price. Ethan Burrell got by him, and Henry Kaloff is not done fighting. Henry has done a great job tonight given the circumstances. He had top 10 speed and has been fighting for the podium for the last 35 laps here. Doesn't look like it was ever his race to win, but with all being said and done, Henry has been able to take a good day and make it great. Although now he's facing that pressure again for the driver just ahead of him. That's going to be the number 99, and once more it looks like Kuntz is going to get just ahead. The difference, of course, between that massive success in collecting the checkered flag and anything else, which includes second place and then on back, well, the difference is clear. And unfortunately, for Jordan Kuntz tonight, it's not going to be a success. He's already gotten 3 wins, yes, but to add to it with a 4th and a statement win in Richmond would be massive. And of course, if you remember what happened last time Matthew Weeks got hot, it all started with just one win. He was able to win 3 races during the championship chase last season, and that's what led him to Atlanta as a championship favorite who had the slight advantage. And that slight advantage carried him through, and eventually he was able to come through with his first ever championship in SNT. 13 laps to go, maybe the second verse of the very same song. It is still Matthew Weeks up and ahead, David Tooker, who's in second, on the verge of his first ever podium, and Ethan Burrell on the verge of that same accomplishment as well. New drivers are taking up the top 3 tonight, and we mentioned the presence of so many different faces this season that have been coming in, and in the top 20 right now, we have a total of 5 rookies. David Tooker is going to be one we've seen from last season, so we won't count him. You've got Ethan Burrell running in 3rd. You got Jonathan Cutlip running in 6th. Matthew White running in 8th. You got Cameron Chandler running in 11th. Then, of course, you have TJ Lair running in 20th here. Not to mention drivers who are new from this season. We're not just talking about first race rookies, we're talking about first season rookies. Gino Marrow in 15th. You got Of course, if you take a look just a little bit further behind, Jamie McKinney, P17, and a few other drivers here we haven't seen all too much of, including Trey Holmes, who has not yet put together a full-time season. He right now is in P12, working on Carmen Chandler, as a matter of fact. Carmen still with that save that defined the first half of the race. Unfortunately, yes, the caution was still called, but otherwise a fantastic job of the number 10. Only one yellow flag causing significant incident. Otherwise, the field has been doing a great job, and nobody has retired. The entire field of 24 tonight, or 23 that took the green flag, are within one lap of your race leader in Matthew Weeks, which is once again a testament to the continuously clean and green product that SNT puts on. Even when we go to a short track, there's almost nothing to fear when it comes to going out here and getting a long green flag run in. Everyone gets their 150 laps, no matter who you are. Eight laps remaining. It's going to be Matthew Weeks now more than a second ahead. Gap between he and David Tooker has been growing and growing and growing. Past 3 laps in particular have been very tricky here for David Tooker, and you can see as it stands, it's going to be that number 19 machine doing a great job getting through. While he's gotten through well, still losing time. 2.5 seconds back compared to a second just 5 laps ago. Trouble, of course, for that number 19 and trying to win this race, but he's just got to hang on now for the last few laps and get himself a good points day, which I think has to be the end goal now, given where he's at. Then you got, of course, Henry Kaloff, Jonathan Cutlip still battling each other. Jordan Kuntz might be in jeopardy. He's fallen back down to earth quickly, but Jonathan Cutlip is still rising up. He gave such trouble to Alec Daffin and Carter Casey that now he's on to make another set of passes happen. He'll go down low to the inside here on Henry Kaloff, up top on Jordan Kuntz. And even still, we keep on fighting. 5 laps to go, and it looks like now we're coming down to only 4 next time through. Jordan Kuntz is going to go up top, and he's going to look right behind him. Cutlip has been the biggest mover in the second half of this race, and now he finds himself on the hunt for both he and Henry Kaloff. And if you're looking at that rear view mirror and you see that neon number 5, well, there's nothing you can do besides try to run, because there's nowhere to hide here in Richmond. Every groove working out quite well, and you can see something interesting when we look at Cutlip and the line he's choosing to run. He's actually going up even higher than anyone else. He's not going through the middle. He's going up to the ceiling of the track. He's going through the 3rd groove and then coming down low, building up a massive load of momentum, and he's doing something we have not seen all night long. He's doing it late, yes, but better late than never. Finally, someone is running all the way up to the top groove and trying to make up spots. It's an interesting tactic, and it's led him right to the back end of Henry Kaloff, but I don't believe it's going to lead him anywhere further, as it looks like now in these final few laps, there's just too little time to put anything together. 2 laps to go. Second place battle is going to continue. Ethan Burrell, David Tooker. Take a look on the back end of the number 19, and it looks like Ethan is right there again. As it stands, Burrell is going to find himself within 1/10 of a second for that catbird seat, but there's nothing else that can be done about Matthew Weeks. The defending champion has already put together 2 podiums so far this season, but not yet a win. The checkered flag we, of course, expected out of the champ coming through in Richmond, well, it's a statement. Short tracks are going to be the determining factor this season. Iowa Speedway is your championship finale, and tonight is the perfect practice race, the perfect outcome for Matthew Weeks. He will win here from Richmond and collect the checkered flag for the first time as a defending champion. Tooker and Burrell, first career podiums for both of which they will finish 2nd and 3rd. And a celebratory knock for the number 11, Matthew Weeks gets the job done here tonight.
For the first time as the defending champion, it's going to be Matthew Weeks. It's a checkered flag. David Tooker comes home second, Ethan Burrell in third, and Jordan Kuntz there in fourth. Henry Kaloff in fifth with Jonathan Cutlip sixth, Alec Daffin seventh, and Matthew White then in P8. The story of the race, all the rookies that come through inside of the top 10, notably two of which in the podium. P9 Carter Casey, 10th, and Vinny Tigner going down to 11th. You got Carmen Chandler and Trey Holmes then in 12th. 13th place for Ben Bushnell tonight, and Gino Marrow comes away in 14th. Disappointing day for the 71 team as it's Michael Deitch then 15th, Kenneth Gorell 16th, Jackson Van Pelt 17th, Jamie McKinney from 2nd down to 18th, and TJ Lair 1 lap down. Tyler Seaver in the number 77 also coming through 1 lap down in 20th with 21st place. Connor Asbell, Dana Van Meter 22nd, Rick Spencer Walt 23rd, and Aaron Sire 24th and last. 2 retirees at the very end. Nevertheless, everyone within the top 23 completed 140 plus laps. Checkered flag tonight for Matthew Weeks, race winner here from Richmond. He led a total of 68 laps on the day. 2 race leaders, Jordan Kuntz and Matthew Weeks. Tonight, the latter of which is your race winner, and strategy flipped at the perfect time for the number 11. Your first win this season, welcoming yourself, of course, back to victory lane here, Matthew. Getting it done in Richmond. What a way to win. Strategy falling right in your lap.
Yeah, it was good. I lucked out with that caution. I mean, I don't know if I wanted it because I felt pretty good on the long run. I just had a bad qualifying effort and got stuck in the, I think, like 12th or 13th where I started at. So it was just all about tire management. But the caution gave me the track position I needed, and then I think it helped where those guys had like 10 laps on their tires, or six or 7 laps on their tires before the caution come out. So I think that came into play too. So it's good. Like I said, it's good to finally get a win. We've been close, I think, all this season. I think I've been on the podium like 3 or 4 times. So it's good to finally get the win here right before the playoffs start in a couple weeks to get that momentum going and go try to go back to back.
And you talk about momentum making all the difference here. You started further back in the field and had to work your way up. Qualifying, it looks like just not treating you the best there relative to all those ahead. Let's talk about the first run, which was the longest of the day. We had 2 very early cautions, but then we went 70 plus laps. What was it like getting to grips with the car in that long stint?
It was cool, man. I know they updated the Xfinity car, the suspension of it, so it drives way different. The rear end likes to slide around a lot more, which makes it so much more fun. So I know in practice, I just did Q laps. I didn't care about long run. So once we got that long run, man, I just backed up. I was lifting real early, just trying to manage the tires. I think I took it easy for a good 25 laps to start that run, and then I started driving a little bit harder. And I noticed I was a little faster than those guys, so it was really about tire management and waiting to start pushing up through the field. And I think I drove up to like 6th or 5th before everyone started pitting. So I was looking good. I mean, so the car is fun. Like, it's such a blast to drive now with how the car feels. So that long run was a blast.
And everything works out just right, staying out and getting that race lead, putting yourself in the position to assume the lead with a caution is exactly what you got. And the second half looked to be pretty easy for you. First half of that final run, maybe a challenge from David Tooker, but otherwise you ran away there.
Yeah, once I got the clean air and he was right behind me, I was just trying to manage the gap. I didn't want to drive too hard and burn my tires up, so I was just letting them stay close enough to me. I think it was like 4 car lengths for a while, and then once he hit 2 car lengths, like I said, 25 laps and run just a minute ago with the tires, that's when I started driving hard. And then once I gapped him about 8 car lengths, I just chilled out and just saved my tires. It was just all about managing the gap right there and trying to keep the clean air.
That being said, great way to win in the penultimate race of the regular season. Up next is Pocono, but something interesting to note about the calendar. Our season finale is Iowa, the most similar track to Richmond here tonight. So maybe to take those notes, what you learn, and bring them on to the championship finale if you succeed.
Yeah, definitely. And then I have a league Monday night that actually races Iowa, so I'm going to get some track time there too. So it's cool to know that that's the championship race, and I'm going to make sure I'm prepared and use that race as a test session as well as try to get a good finish Monday night. So definitely with these tracks, Summer, yeah, we're gonna be ready to go if we can make it there.
And ready to go, seeing what's next. Matthew Weeks, first win on the season here from Richmond. Any last comments or final shout outs you'd like to give?
Shout out, you to y'all time you do this by yourself, and there's a few people I know that do it by themselves, and y'all do a hell of a job doing it. Shout out to my buddies, David Tooker and Ethan Burrell. Man, we swept the podium. Good friends of mine. We're on a team in a different league, Pro Edge, so it's cool to see the Pro Edge guys show up here and run real well. Trey was in the lobby. I think he was running good. He had some issues early. Shout out to my buddy John racing tonight. I know he runs FTF, and he showed up to run this car tonight. He had a good run. Just had a bad qualifying effort, and then all the sponsors, Carter, Vinny, everyone that runs the league. It's a great league, and I always enjoy on the Saturday nights, and it's probably one of my favorites to race in. So shout out to all the guys that run it and everyone that's a part of it.
That being said, Matthew Weeks looks like a little bit of a team sweep there. But the number 11, defending champ for the first time, you come through as a race winner. Thank you once again for your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you. You have a good one.
Matthew Weeks on the move, and for the first time, we get to talk to both David Tooker and Ethan Burrell. Strong runs for the both of which. David coming home first and foremost in that second spot. Very strong run and a great second half to elevate you to the second place tonight, David. How does it feel?
Feels good. It was just kind of a tough start. I mean, usually I'm pretty good here. I'm pretty fast in this car, especially. This is probably my favorite car to drive on the sim, and just trying to get through these guys, especially on with this new revamped B car that we have. It's kind of a different challenge, a different way of driving. But this track is also just really hard to pass here too. I mean, you get underneath somebody, but your corner kind of gets pinched off on the exit, and they get the exit run. So it's just trying to, spot when you can make your moves, and also just try to use as less tire as possible, because the moment you drive off your right front or your right rear, you don't really have much for a drive off the corner, and you really need that to really start gaining spots late in the run. And we did that the first run. We drove up from all borderline last all the way up to the top 7, I say, before that last caution came out. And then started second there and was just kind of playing chase the entire time. There was a couple chances where I felt like I probably should have pushed the envelope a little bit more on trying to pass my teammate there, Weeks, but I knew I had to get him as soon as possible, and I was driving my heart out that first 40 laps of the run until like about last 10. That's when I noticed I was really starting to lose time to him, and he's a really good tire saver, so it makes sense why he was able to pull away there at the end. I just went a little bit too early, but I'm still glad we were able to fend off my other teammate, Ethan, for second.
And able to hang on for that second position. You came from very far back in the field, the hardest Chargers, 20th place to second here. So you saw the back of the field, you saw the middle, and eventually, of course, you got there up front. Certainly not easy coming from the tail end.
No, definitely not. It's more just trying to be patient with some of these guys. I haven't raced in this league very often, but I've raced enough to kind of know who I can race hard and who I can run a little bit closer. And it was just kind of trying to be patient that first run, that first 100 laps. If you don't make it through that first 100, you're not going to make it for the last 50. And kind of got lucky with the timing of that caution. I was quite literally pointed down pit road, and I heard wrecking in my radio, so I immediately jumped back on the track. I think I missed the cone by probably about at least 4 or 5 feet, not by very much. So my race definitely could have been changed there, but no, yeah, I think if I can somehow figure out to save more tire than Weeks, man, I think I could do pretty well. But right now he's got me covered, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of learning.
Well, a huge momentum here with only one final race in the regular season up next. Maybe a chance to fight in the playoff picture. Pocono, that's the deciding factor. As we go back to the big tracks before, of course, our regular season ends. Momentum, perhaps, to bring into our next race?
I think so, yeah. I've ran Pocono in so many other leagues, especially in this car, too, and that's definitely one of my favorite tracks, so... if we're playoff eligible, we'll definitely go for it. I love racing with these guys. Every time I come in here, I get a clean, good race in. So, I mean, I think we only had maybe 1 or 2 cautions, if that, and we ran green the rest of the way. And this is definitely one of the hardest cars to drive on the sim now. So, huge shout out to these guys. But no, I appreciate Carter, Casey, and all those guys, everyone in the admin, all of our drivers. They did a great job tonight. Also, you up in the booth, really appreciate what you're doing up here. But definitely looking forward to coming back here for Pocono.
Only one more race left in the regular season. Best finish on the campaign so far. David Tooker, thank you once again for your time.
Thank you.
Tooker on the move. Last driver to speak to is a first-time podium sitter. It's the number 37 of Ethan Burrell. Career best finish here in SNT. Third place from Richmond. Very solid result. How was it out there?
Oh, it was fun, man. Slip sliding around the track. That first long run was awesome. Getting out in the clean air, and I think kind of me, Jordan, and Vinny kind of took off. It wasn't looking like anyone was going to have anything for us if that continued, but that had that unfortunately timed yellow kind of put us a lap down, and just had to put the elbows up and rip on that thing to try to get back up through the field, and unfortunately just ran out of time.
And just maybe too little too late perhaps, but overall a strong run. You found yourself fighting with Jordan Kuntz in a fierce battle at the tail end of the race, and that's something we particularly noticed. You had a lot of pace there to charge through in the second half. Perhaps you just learned a lot more from that first 70-lap stint and applied it well.
Yeah, I kind of figured out the high side had some speed, and even wearing the tires out and heating them up. I mean, you could force the car to do what you wanted it to do. It was just it just got harder and harder to do it as the tires wore out, but it didn't necessarily slow it down. So yeah, the whole the whole last part of the race, I was just trying to rip around the top, and it was a good battle with Jordan. I was hoping I could have got by him a little quicker and maybe had a chance to run up there and go fight for the win, but I'd say it was a good drive to get back up to third, so I'll definitely take it.
Getting that solid run, P3 here. Now, career best finish, we mentioned that. We've seen you a few times throughout the season. Maybe a chance you come back with your team here, sweeping the podium. Pocono is a fast track. Oftentimes you see everyone's got the same pace. Maybe a chance to run up there with David and Matthew again.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully I'll try to come back. Saturdays are usually tough for me, but Matthew hit me up tonight, and I didn't have anything going on. So yeah, anytime I'm able to, I'll be happy to come race with you guys. It's a lot of fun out here.
And a great race, career best finish at that. Ethan Burrell, P3 here from Richmond. Any last shout outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, shout out to you, man. You put on a really good broadcast. It's really cool to keep an eye on it throughout your guys' season. Shout out Matthew, David for the fun battle and good podium sweep. And shout out Trey Holmes, Jonathan Cutlip as well. They were racing with us tonight too. So yeah, that's all I got, man.
There we go. Ethan Burrell coming through, the number 37 with a podium finish here in Virginia. Thank you again for stopping by.
Yep, thanks, man.
And with Burrell on the move, you just heard from your top three. Looks like all teammates coming around to race together in SNT and doing a fantastic job at that. Ethan Burrell finishes P3, David Tooker in second, and Matthew Weeks. Well, the defending champion certainly is back tonight, coming away with 68 laps led. Weeks returns to the top step of the podium and collects the victory here in Richmond. What a way to return to the top step with only a race to go now in your regular season. Pocono Raceway, 60 laps. Up next, Saturday Night Thunder continues with its final regular season event, and then from there, the championship battle begins. Irwindale's going to be on an all-star race in 2 weeks' time, but then it's all about the playoffs in which 10 drivers compete to come through for the championship, and then, of course, we'll find out who is our last champion of 2024. With that being said, you'll catch us next Saturday, same time, same place, live on FTN as we continue our exclusive coverage of Saturday Night Thunder here in Season 2024B. For the virtual Richmond Raceway, you've been watching coverage of the Saturday is for Racers 150, and I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to join the action you see here, scan the QR code on your screen to become a member of the FTN broadcasting community. You can join any of the leagues we broadcast from Monday to Sunday and anywhere in between, and of course, have behind-the-scenes access to all the fun on this channel, whether it is virtual motorsport or any additional live content. Thank you for tuning in tonight from the virtual Richmond, Virginia, watching the action of Saturday Night Thunder. We hope you have a fantastic night.